Hey y'all, welcome back to another ballistics gel test. Today we're going to be shooting Hornady Frontier 68 grain boat tail hollow point match bullets in 5.56 NATO into some ballistics gel. Now this isn't a hunting bullet, it's not billed as a varmint bullet, but let's see what happens. And here is the box for that Hornady Frontier 68 grain boat tail hollow point match 5.56 NATO load. The box is very simplistic, it's just cardboard. There's not much promo information on here. Turn it to the side, it does have, let me see if I can get the camera to focus. It states the muzzle velocity is 2960. We'll see how close we get to that. Not much to the box, and I think that's on purpose. This is sort of a budget load, a budget match ammo option, so we'll go ahead and open it up. And I have shot a few of these in the past, so that's why the box isn't full. Let's yank one out and take a look at them. There it is. You can see the case is annealed. It's a little bit dingy looking, but again, this is a budget ammo. There's that hollow point right there. Let's shoot it and see how it does. And the test rifle today is my CZ527 carbine. It's got an 18 or 18.5 inch barrel. I don't exactly recall. Chambered in 223, of course. Up top, I've got a Vortex Crossfire 2 3-9x40 scope. And coming on back, I've got one of my leather cartridge pouch cuffs, which incidentally perfectly holds a CZ527 magazine, coincidentally enough, so it works for that as well. Check out my website, masonleather.com. I would absolutely love to make you one. And coming around to the other side, I've got to show you, I've got my wild bore design.
We'll be taking 3 shots from 100 yards, firing into 10% ballistics gel that has been calibrated to meet the FBI's ballistics testing protocol. And while ballistics gel isn't an exact proxy for big game, it does provide a repeatable medium through which to test various bullets and ammo against each other. After the shots, we'll examine bullet expansion, weight retention, penetration, and velocity. My goal is to provide hunters like you and I with the most objective information possible to help us make the best choice for our particular hunting situation. The ballistics gel in this video has been sourced from Clear Ballistics. You can find a link in the description.
So let's go ahead and shoot it. And we are down here at the blocks after shooting that Hornady Frontier 68 grain boat tail hollow point load, and I think we captured all 3 bullets. But if we come on back, they're all in the first block here. We have one right here that created a pretty good mushroom at the 13-inch mark, and then the other one is actually right there. I'll see if I can show you. It's like right there, so it's exactly the same penetration. We got 13 and 13, and then I made a solid center of block hit with the 3rd round, and as best as I can tell, because I could follow the wound track with my eye, it just broke up and shattered into a bunch of pieces in there, because I don't see it, and I don't see where it exited the block anywhere. So I think that 3rd one just kind of blew up. And then talking about wound cavity, it took it a second to start to really open up, but about the 2-inch mark, they just kind of explode. Well, the bullets don't explode, but the wound cavity explodes, you know what I mean? Coming on back, and it goes all the way to about almost the 8-inch mark, about 7.5, and you've got some good shock wound cavity right there. Interesting performance from a hollow point match load, sort of a practice ammo. We'll dig out what we can and take a look. And we'll go ahead and look at velocities for that Hornady Frontier 68 grain load out of the 223. Our high was 2962, our low was 2904, and our average was 2917. And here are those Hornady Frontier 68 grain boat tail hollow point match bullets as recovered from the ballistics gel. I think it's fun to try and test some of these match loads, these target ammos in the gel, just to see how they perform against designated hunting loads. It's always fun to see what happens. Sometimes they, pinhole through and don't expand at all. They act like a full metal jacket. And then sometimes we're, pleasantly surprised and see stuff like this. So weight retention wise, we saw 39 and 40 grains for an average rounded up of 40 grains. That works out to 58% weight retention. And then expansion wise, we saw 0.5 and 0.53 inches for an average of 0.52 inches expanded diameter. That works out to 2.3x expansion. And as you can see, that was very uniform expansion all the way around. These made some nice mushrooms. On to velocity, we saw 2962 for the high, 2904 for the low. working out to an average of 2,917 feet per second versus the factory build velocity of 2,960. So we only came in 43 feet per second slow. A lot of the loads I'm testing from 223 are coming in quite a bit slower than that versus their build velocity. Pleasant surprise. Oh, and also, before someone just has to mention it in the comments, yes, this is 5.56 ammo. It's not 223 ammo. And that very well may have to do with why these are coming in closer to the factory build velocity than a lot of the other 223 loads. And then before anyone says it, a CZ527 is factory rated to shoot both 5.56 and 223 ammo. It's right on CZ's website. And then penetration wise, we saw 13 inches and 13 inches for both bullets. Unfortunately, the third bullet completely broke up in the block as best as I could tell, so we couldn't measure that one. But we're going to go with what we got for a 13-inch average penetration. And then on to kinetic energy, our 68 grain bullet going on average 2,917 feet per second works out to 1,285 foot-pounds of energy at the muzzle. Most of the 223 loads that I have tested that are marketed for deer hunting, not that these are, but those ones are, come in around the 1,200 foot-pound mark, and this is right there at that, a little bit higher than most of them actually. Alright y'all, time for my final thoughts on that Hornady Frontier 68 grain boat tail hollow point match ammo. Now this is 5.56 millimeter ammo, not 223, that's what's stated on the box, I'm just letting you know there. And I think it's fun to use these match ammos in ballistics gel just to see what they'll do. The results can vary quite a bit, so that's why I went ahead and did this. I've had this ammo actually in my drawer for a long time, so it was fun to take it out to the range, shoot it into gel, and see what this stuff would do. So let's go over it. Now, weight retention was 58%. This is a hollow point bullet. What's interesting, it didn't completely explode. It did maintain most of its weight, and it expanded very, very nicely. Very interesting for just, a matched target bullet. We got 2.3x expansion, and it expanded well, very evenly. It made nice little mushrooms. Velocity-wise, we actually came pretty darn close to the factory stated velocity. We were only 43 feet per second slow. And then penetration-wise, for whatever that's worth, it's a match ammo. I mean, I'm not necessarily thinking about hunting with it, but if you were, we got 13 inches of penetration on average. Now, there is a little bit of a caveat to that. Remember back to when we were looking at the gel blocks, as best as I could tell, the third bullet didn't exit the block. I think it completely blew up within the first gel block somewhere early on. I couldn't see an exit hole. I could find an entry wound track, but the bullet wasn't there. So there is some inconsistency there. We got performance from two bullets that was very similar, and then another one that kind of just blew up into a bunch of pieces, as best as I could tell. So make of that what you will. Again, it's a match ammo. It's not meant for hunting. Sometimes you get variable results. And then kinetic energy wise, with a 68 grain bullet going 2,917 feet per second on average, we're looking at 1,285 foot-pounds of energy. That's actually higher than a lot of the deer hunting oriented 223 loads that I've tested. And no doubt that might be because this is a 5.56 load, not 223. And typically you are going to see a bit more velocity out of that. So all in all, I think this was a pretty interesting test. It's a match bullet shot into gel. It kind of performed like a hunting bullet for the two that we recovered and like a varmint bullet for the one that we didn't. So what would I use this ammo for? Well, target shooting. I'm probably not going to take this out and do any kind of hunting with it. In a pinch, I'm sure you could shoot coyotes with it. It would do just fine for stuff like that. But I think it's good for what it's meant for, which is on the range punching holes in paper. If you've used this particular ammo, let us know how it did in the comment. Hey, if you enjoy these videos, check out my website masonleather.com and get yourself some leather gear handmade by me just for you. I've been handcrafting leather gear for hunters for over a decade, and I would love to make you something. The link is in the video description. And check out my channel for more hunting ammo ballistics gel tests. I have some big news. Lots of you have emailed me or commented how much value you get out of my videos. And you've asked me, how can you be a part of this and help support the channel? Well, I got to work and now I have a way. I've created a Patreon account where you can join me in helping our fellow hunters. Click the link in this video's description and watch my Patreon welcome video, where I describe to you how your help will impact this channel and our community of hunters as a whole. And when you join me on Patreon, you'll get a lot more than I can give you here on YouTube. You'll have to go watch that welcome video linked in the description to find out the details. I'll see you there.